What's up, my wizards? It's Dev from SBMTG, youtube.com down there with Light Magic. I'm coming to you with a late night video. I like to drop these every now and again, just so I can talk a little bit about all these big changes that we heard about this morning from Mark Rosewater himself, straight from the mothership. Bunch of crazy stuff, apparently, planned for the near future in Magic, and you guys have been asking me through different social media all day, like, what I feel about all this. And to be honest, just long story short, I think that most of these changes are actually really positive, but for those of you who want more in-depth opinion on that, or those of you who don't have any idea what the heck I'm talking about right now, let me go ahead and go through everything that was in this article this morning. Well, the name of the article is Metamorphosis 2.0 by Mark Rosewater. You can find it over at wizards.com, and I'll link to it in the description. I think it's worth a read, even though it's a relatively long article, just like the first Metamorphosis, but there's a lot of incredibly important information in there that, you know, no YouTuber is going to be able to comb over every word that was said in that article. So I highly recommend that you go ahead and read that, and then either come back to the video or you read it after the video, because it's a really, really important piece to read right now. The first thing I want to go over is that Mark Rosewater says there will no longer be smaller sets in upcoming blocks. Now, Hour of Devastation is going to be a small set, and then Ixalan block will go ahead and follow the current block structure. It's one big set, one small set, but everything after that, starting next year, basically, is just going to be big sets. No more small sets. We're going to see 300 plus card sets from here on out. Now, Wizards did this for myriad reasons. There's lots of reasons, not the least of them being things like, you know, it's hard to separate a small set from a large set thematically and give it its own identity while still tying it to the world of the first set, you know. There are either going to be mechanics like meld that you don't get to do enough of, or there's just going to be like a glut of mechanics from the first set that sort of makes everything overpowered or over-represented even. So there's problems with representation on both ends of the spectrum as far as mechanics and small sets. And it kind of gets weird when it comes to like drafting small sets. You know, we're going to do one pack of the big set and then two packs of the small set, whatever. So instead now, everything's going to be a big set and all sets will be drafted alone. And the cynical might say, and they're all right in some ways, that this is just a good business move for Wizards in a way because it allows them to focus more on a new product when it comes out. You know, we're going to draft just this set. Don't worry about that thing that came out 3 months ago. Let's focus on this because it's new product and we got to sell it. It's cynical, but that's also partially the truth. Another thing about each set being a large set is it allows them to kind of abandon the block structure a little bit. The way that it's going to work from here on out is that blocks have no real structure in a way. I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like. Basically, they're going to spend as little or as much time as they need to on a story, and so a block might be one set. A block might be 3 sets. All depends on how long they want to take to tell a particular story. And again, I think this is overall a positive change. I do want to stress, though, that even though they're trying to make sure that each set, now they're large sets, they're drafted alone, they have their own mechanical identity, all that is true. But Wizards also stress that sets that take place in the same world will have some small amount of design overlap, so we may see the same mechanic in sets as long as those sets take place in the same world. That's not all, though. There's way more than just the no small sets anymore announcement from today. There was a lot of changes announced today, but I wanted to go ahead and tell you about that one first because the way Morrow phrased it, it seems like a lot of decisions kind of trickled down from that decision. And I think the more you trickle down from an original decision, the sort of more dangerous split decisions get. You know, like, oh, we're on the 5th iteration of a decision that came from this decision at the top of the pyramid. That's where things get a little bit dangerous. But I also think that a lot of the changes they made today were positive and a lot of people wanted them for a while now. So I'm not trying to knock that decision. I just want to point out that it seems like a lot of these decisions sort of came from this one decision, and the more you come down from one decision, the more dangerous things tend to get, the more volatile things seem to get. But anyway, next change I want to talk about is the one I'm most excited about, and that is that core sets are coming back, sort of. Here's our first quote of note here, so I can explain what I'm talking about. Quote, not exactly a core set, as there were still some problems with core sets to solve, but how about a new product similar to a core set? Okay, so Morrow is definitely hinting that this is not really a core set, but something very close in scope. And Wizards does go on to say that these sets will be roughly half reprints and roughly half new cards. So That's awesome, and that's a lot like a core set. This is great, because this will give Wizards the opportunity to print reprints without there having to be some sort of story flavor behind them, but Wizards did say that these will have some sort of light story elements in them, which I actually think is cool. Here's another quote of note right here, as a matter of fact. Quote, "The set will have some story relevance, but more in a filling in information of the past about relevant characters way than telling a piece of present-day story." Unquote. This is kind of cool because it reminds me of Magic Origins, just without the ridiculous Jace, hopefully, right? And I don't think they're going to print anything like Jace, because Wizards also stresses that this is meant to be a beginner-level product for the most part. We're going to go back to core sets, quote-unquote. We're just going to keep saying core sets. Core sets that have, less complicated cards, more French vanilla creatures, or just vanilla creatures altogether. And just those, cards that are a little bit easier to understand for people that haven't been playing forever. We're sort of missing that set that focuses on newer players every year. And I like that they're bringing that back, and it also gives them an excuse to reprint cards that have, names that don't necessarily go with the block that they're currently in. You know what I mean? Just gives them a way to reprint certain cards. And I really like that. I love that we're going to see more reprints. That's always good in my book. I'm a fan of reprints. And there's one more quote I want to point out here as far as these core sets go. Quote, "The new cards will push toward resonance, aka things a new player would already recognize by having a familiarity with fantasy from pop culture." Unquote. So basically, that sounds like they're going to do more goblins, elves, dragons, that kind of thing, which sounds pretty awesome, and some more basic spell names and stuff. Maybe we'll get Fireball back, who knows. But basically, not only are the cards going to be a little bit less complicated as far as the scope of use, but that's not bad. Uncomplicated does not mean bad. Simple cards have been very good throughout Magic's history, so don't think they're bad. Wizards also went out of their way to make sure that we know there's going to be some competitive level cards in these, quote, core sets. So don't get crazy yet. Just because the set is meant to be toward, bent towards beginners, doesn't mean there won't be highly playable cards in there. So, but cards are, it sounds like what that means is just more basic fantasy elements, which is not terrible. Maybe we need to get back to that sometimes, But just a quote that I found at least interesting and worth digesting. Altogether, though, it's like, hell yeah, bring back core sets. That'd be so awesome. Basically, the structure of a year is going to be 3 large sets and then 1 core set that'll drop in the summer. That's awesome. That's when core sets used to drop, by the way. So that's cool. And I like the idea of, filling in information about the past of relevant characters. That whole bit is really interesting to me. I want to know what we're going to see as far as that's concerned. That could be really cool. Now, there are some other things of note from the article today. First of all, something that I think a lot of people are just as happy about as the core set thing. And that's that moving forward, starting with Hour of Devastation, by the way, a lot of these changes don't take place until spring of next year. This one starts with Hour of Devastation. We're going to see far less of the Gatewatch. Yay, I would say at this point. There's just so much Gatewatch lately, and I'm ready to see less of them. And honestly, I'm still a fan of Jace. I know everyone hates him, and I still think Gideon's kind of cool, even though I've called him the Roman Reigns of MTG. I still think Gideon's at least a cool character. I like Liliana, even though she's inarguably overexposed. Same thing with Chandra. These are cool characters. I'm a fan of Nissa. But maybe they should bow out for a while. We only see one every few sets. That'd be nice instead of we've got to have Gatewalker or Gatewatch Planeswalkers in every single block. It's just getting a little oversaturated with Jason, Chandra, and Lily and Gideon at this point. So I'm pretty happy about this, and it allows them to get out of the way so they can introduce more newer Planeswalkers. Or conversely, we can see what happened with some older Planeswalkers. Everyone's ready for a new Tibble. It's like a meme every time a new set comes out. So print another Tibble. We need to see what he's up to unless he's dead. Or he could even be dead and just come back. That happens. This is a fantasy game. Who cares? And then Garrick. Maybe Garrick is supposed to be dead too. I don't know. But what's he doing, man? Garrick hasn't been around forever. He could always come back. It could happen. So we can all get behind that, I think, at this point. I don't think there's anybody out there that's like, but Gideon! Shut up. We can be done with these guys for a while, and they can take a back seat so we can get some new, creative, cool characters that we can all get behind again. Because I remember when Jace and Nissa were awesome. I remember when Chandra was so cool. And Chandra still is kind of cool. She's, still my favorite of the OG Gatewatch. But still, it's time to move over. So I'm happy about that. Another big announcement is that there's going to be fewer sets with masterpieces. Now, they had made the announcement not long ago, actually, that they were going to do every set would have some form of masterpieces. They're pulling back on that now. They use the phrase diminishing returns, which I understand. I mean, you can only do this for so long. It's not sustainable. You can only do this for so long until you start reprinting really subpar stuff, which we've already kind of seen with the Invocation cycle. Don't get me wrong, there's some really good stuff in there. Some awesome stuff in there. But there's also, we're starting to already see that they're running out of really good stuff that you'd be excited to pull, you know. So they're sort of, I understand why they're doing this. And so soon after announcing, it's only been a few sets since they announced they're going to do this every single set. But basically they say that they're just going to do it when it makes sense. You know, they use the Zendikar Expeditions as an example, and that's a great example. It makes sense. But the Amonkhet Invocations are a little bit of a reach. You know, so I get why they're doing this, and I like it. And it means that now, when they release a set that does have masterpieces in it, it'll actually mean something. And I think that's cool. I do. There's one more announcement from today that Morrow just sort of touched on just a little bit. You know, he didn't really expound too much on it. He did say that there'd be more articles about this later on in the week, and it's something that Wizards has already announced, but he's sort of fleshed out a little bit more without saying enough about it. But that is the new play design team. Now, this is not a change to the block structure or what sets they're releasing every year or anything, but I think it's still a really significant change to the way they design Magic. So it's basically like the A-Team or like Suicide Squad, something like that, but with playtesters. You know, they're just bringing in really high-level Magic players to playtest for them. Melissa DeTore has been announced. She actually got her contract a while back. And then Andrew Brown was announced as well. Both of these are high-level Magic players that have top-8'd multiple Pro Tours. So that's awesome. And yeah, they have people on their design team that are former pros, but I like that they're bringing in more people with expertise in how the game works on a competitive level. I think that's really important to make sure that things like Felidar Guardian don't happen again. And yeah, I mean, Wizards playtest cards already. They do that. But this will give them the opportunity to do it a little bit more in-depth and with people that are really, really stinking good at this game. That was pretty much the entire announcement from today, but this is announcement week. By the time this video goes up, which should be relatively late on the East Coast, but again, I like to do that sometimes, spring a late night video on you because everyone has different lifestyles, you know? Like I'm up until 7 o'clock in the morning most days, and everyone lives in different time zones. So I like to give everyone an opportunity occasionally to see a video before other people do. So if you're up right now, thanks for watching. But in any case, some of you will watch this tomorrow. But by the time a lot of you wake up tomorrow morning, there's going to be a banned and restricted announcement. I don't yet know how that is going to go, but definitely going to be talking about it if anything significant happens. We're all wondering if Marvel's going to get banned for the last few months of this standard. I'm not convinced. Honestly, I kind of maybe want it to happen, but I'm not convinced it will. But we'll know very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. And next week, Hour of Devastation spoilers start. I think it's Monday of next week, if I'm to understand correctly. Official Hour of Devastation spoilers start. That is really soon. And actually, right before I came on camera here, check my email, and I got my spoiler card for Hour of Devastation. I can't really say anything about it, obviously, until June the 29th. Mark that date on your calendar, because that's when I can preview that card. But all I can say is that I'm super excited about it. The card looks awesome. But anyway, just mark your calendar. June 29th is when I'll get to show you my preview card. But official previews start Monday. We'll be doing videos on all those. So make sure you sub to get all the content because we're still doing deck techs too. We got one more deck tech in the Junk Rare series. That is white. We'll be doing that in the next couple of days as well. So sub for all the content. Hit the bell for the notifications. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed the video. That helps me out more than almost anything you can do. You can also follow me on Twitter at SBMTGDev or check out the Patreon at patreon.com/SBMTG. I'm getting pretty good at that. But anyway, I'm Dev from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.